So welcome back. Today I am joined with co-creator Amy Ross, and we're talking about curating and actually designing a teacher training program. How are you today, Amy?
I'm good. I'm so excited to talk about this topic.
I know, I'm so excited. We've been working. So for those of you that don't know, Amy and I have been tirelessly trying to create a new experience, a new type of teacher training, trying to solve some challenges that we saw in the past and how we can really bring this forward. Amy, I thought maybe you could take the lead here and talk a little bit about, some of the challenges we saw with previous teacher training programs, even ones that I had in the past, was accessibility. So can we talk a little bit more about how some problems, what makes a teacher training program accessible?
Yeah, I think accessibility, which is something really dear to my heart in all things, but I think it's something that I think it's something that's changed over the last few years as we've been through a worldwide pandemic and things have shifted. I think when we were looking at teacher training and making it accessible, we really had you, the potential teacher, in mind, because it's not just you. It also is a call when we take on this role, this decision to become a teacher. It's our families coming with us on this journey. It's our friends, it's our community. And we wanted to look at how it had to make sense. It had to make sense for anyone who is living a busy life, which we all are these days.
Yeah, for sure. I know. And it's sort of that, I remember challenges that people back when I had a other training program, they're Googling Pilates schools, they find a school, they're like, this sounds great, but like, I can't commit to come to, for 10-day modules and leave my family and repeated times. And you were sort of limited by geography. But can we just talk a little bit about what's been so great now about, life, this post-pandemic world?
Well, we've worked really hard to kind of really address that issue in that, like you said, geography is no longer our limitation. And I think that's a really incredible thing. And so in looking at that, we're like, okay, how do we still provide a great teacher training experience? How do we still have like really meaningful connection? But do we have to do it all in person? And the answer was very quickly, no, we don't. We can do this in a hybrid model. And I think in that hybrid model, it really gives you, the teacher, the opportunity to design your own program. Yes,
Yeah.
there are certain times where we do need to come together. We got 3 check-ins depending on which program you select, but you get to design, when does this fit into my life? And I think that sometimes I hadn't found in a teacher training program. When I did my teacher training, I have 4 kids and I had 4 kids at home. So I had everything from like early, like they were, I don't know, beginning like grade 1, 2, maybe they were in, all the way up to like getting ready to graduate. So it was quite a juggle, and I had a commute. I had to drive. I had to give up a lot of time, and that was really challenging on my family's end. And we're like, we want to be able to address this problem. We want to be able to give anybody, if they're working or they're parenting or they're doing all the things, how can they fit it into their life should they choose?
Yes. Yes. And, if I can vouch, like for you, well, first of all, if Amy can make it work, anybody can. I mean, if you did this without this new model, which I think is fantastic. But something else you brought up that I think is really interesting is the idea that when you decide like, this is what I want, I feel this calling, I want to help other people move well, to feel great, to have that spark that I get when I do the work. It's not just about you, it's about, your families, and there's also a part of how you're even going to impact the people around you. Can you talk about that, Amy?
I mean, that's a huge part of a teacher trainer journey. And it's not, it really is the journey you will go through and you will feel as you go through in the movement of yourself. But then as you learn to teach that and you get to spread that and put that out into the world, you really do change people's lives.
Yeah.
And that is I think one of the most beautiful gifts we get each and every day is being able to teach others and impact their lives. And then it doesn't just impact their lives, it impacts your clients' families.
Yes.
Impacts their communities. And there really is this really beautiful ripple effect that happens. And so again, that was important to like, where does the ripple start? And we really designed to take care of the teacher. And when I say take care of the teacher, we are going to dive into some, strategies that our industry struggled with. Like,
Yeah.
we don't want another burned out teacher. We're going to talk about how do we do that? How do we protect ourselves? How do we, as we don't allow burnout for ourselves, how do we let teaching keep that nourishing and that excitement and that spark? How do we keep that as we evolve through a practice? And I think I'm so proud of that piece, because I think coming back to that accessibility is making that accessible for anybody who wants to learn, that it isn't just if you can afford to travel great lengths to get to that training. You've got I think we've got just such a wonderful program, and it's really about learning together. It's never, the teachers learn just as much as the students do.
Totally.
I learn from my clients every day, and I feel like when people feel that magic, it is always there. It's in you forever. It's there ever.
Yeah. And that's sort of, oh, that's so beautifully said. Couldn't agree more. And I think that kind of brings us into this, like, you and I were having a conversation even just off before we jumped on the call today, about sort of this idea of investment, of investing in yourself, investing of time. But there's, and also I think for us, that's really important, even curating a program, we're investing in the student. We want to nurture them. We want to support them. We want to, like, not just see them for a short length of time and be like, okay, you're on your own. Like, support, like, have an avenue to ask questions live and in real time, to really foster their critical thinking, and all the supplementary stuff that we've added that I think is really going to be, that is not included in the industry standard program, that I think is really going to enrich the experience, is awesome. But did you want to talk a little bit more about the investment of time, and how really it's just how you frame your thoughts, that it doesn't have to feel like it's a burden?
Well, it is. And I mean, I think the other thing that's really great in this program, like, you do have a life coach who also can help structure some time management skills. And
huge.
I might also be an expert scheduler with 4 kids.
That you are. I can attest to that.
It's one of my strengths. I can run a really tight ship. But I think it's allowing yourself to invest in you, and it invests in you on such a deeper level than just exercise. Yes, it invests in your body. Your body is going to benefit from all the hours of a teacher training. It just does. But it also really is an investment in your mind and your spirit, because all of those come together, and those are all the gifts that we want you to take and make your own and share with the world. That's really what our goal is for this type of program. And it's, you know, get thinking a little outside the box on this. We had to think outside the box on what all the other training programs have looked like, and thought, how can we do this? How can we do this? And in that time piece, I think it's important to look at how much time do you have in a week?
Yeah.
Where can this, not where do you have to add this into your schedule? Where can you fit it in already?
Yeah.
And we're not, depending on the program, depends on the length of time you've got to complete, and the time investment will be different. But I think it's really important when it's something you love, it's not something that's a drain on your time. It actually energizes, and you often find more time. It multiplies, which I think
Yeah.
is really, really cool.
Oh, for sure. Case in point, I could talk Pilates all day. So, and that's just a side effect, I think, from going down through this work. But I think you brought up an interesting point, for any student just considering about starting, is that your teacher training journey should be an opportunity for you to prioritize yourself, body, mind, and spirit. Like, when it was the last time you got to like really immerse in something and be intellectually stimulated and have the movement piece and to think critically and to start to develop your own voice. I mean, I think that's something you and I talked about extensively at length, is that our goal isn't just to make a bunch of cookie cutter teachers that sound exactly like us, but like present the work so that you're not a robot, but that you understand it and that you can share your personal experience and pass that on to your students and your clients. And then that just has an exponential ripple effect in people's communities and spheres, which is just so, so exciting.
I know. And it's really I think maybe when I began my teacher training, didn't understand the actual power of that.
Yeah.
It really is a privilege for us to get to watch and cultivate that each day in our studios and in our practice, in our teaching.
Yeah.
It's really incredible. And I think the other, in how we've designed it, is that there isn't every week you have to be in a long lecture. It isn't
Yeah.
designed that at all. It is that interactive experience, and you're gonna be able to ask the questions. You're going to be able to hear the other questions and the stories that people are sharing as they go through. And there's so much more than beyond what we just teach you in an exercise.
Yeah.
It's about teaching about the experience for the body that's in front of you. And
Yes.
even when we begin and we start at the mat, it's about your own body's experience being on that mat. And that's where it starts. It's that moment in time where it's about you. It's
Yeah.
about you and the movement. And really, if you've got a little curiosity in there, it is an amazing journey.
For sure. Man, and we've talked at length about just how, I've been teaching now for 20 plus years, and it's still, I love it more now than I even did when I started, because the journey actually, it really gets fostered in teacher training. But I know you can attest to this too. It doesn't end. It just like, it gives you this beautiful foundation and this curiosity and this intrigue of watching bodies move and the relationships that you make. I think that's something that's quite cool. You don't want to feel like you're just a number at another, like a large training program. Like, you really want to be, part of a class, part of a tribe, part of a community, and with teachers that are there to help nurture you, support you, give you a little extra kick in the butt when you need, but more importantly, give a little extra, like, take my hand, I'm going to show you how. Let's learn, figure this out together. And I think that's what keeps the passion going, that you can have a career that just lights you up every day. I certainly can speak to that. What about you, Amy? Do you want to share a little bit about that?
I mean, it's like I say, it really is a collaboration,
Yeah.
because it is, we just have the information a little farther down the line, and we can share what our experience, and my experience is different than Bonny-Lynn's experience has been. We are two different teachers.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the beautiful thing. That is, when you find your magic as a teacher, it really lights your soul. And that really people feel that and they
Yeah.
don't get that. And that's where that investment in you now, in the knowledge of, look, you got to understand the framework. We got to keep everybody safe. Like that is really important. And that standard has not shifted in how we are going to deliver the education piece of it. But it's also, you know, looking at it in a different way. How can we learn from each other?
Yes.
And that I'm super excited for, because we've really we've looked at this in a different lens. This, you know, this looks different. And I think that just gives everybody the opportunity to shine.
Yeah. I don't, that, what a beautiful way to end. I mean, I know we could talk about this all day, but I do
Yeah.
think that that is so key, Amy. Thank you. Beautifully said. If you want to learn more, stay tuned. But I know that Amy and I are really excited about sharing our collective experience and help to nurture and, you know, uplift the teacher that we know that you can be, and help you grow. So that being said, thanks for listening. Thanks for being here.
All right, just to wrap up today, we just want to send this invitation to you. Maybe now, maybe right now, you've been thinking about this. Now, is this the time for you?